Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the RnRGzrs show. I'm your host, Murph, and as always, we welcome our legendary co-host. That would be Doc Box. I know. I know.
You're too kind. I know.
You know a lot of shit. So, how you doing, Doc?
I'm doing very well. How you doing, Murph?
Yeah, I'm doing good. It's been a good holiday weekend so far. A lot of fireworks. Nobody I know has blown their fingers off, so that's always a good thing. You know how that goes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's get right to it here. Let's do a little bit of news here before we get to the meat of the program here. That's a sad. Rock singer Bret Michaels from Poison had to cancel a gig with the Motley Crue Def Leppard Joan Jett tour,
Right.
and I'm willing to bet this was last Thursday. I'm willing to bet it has to do with his diabetes because he's a type 1 diabetic.
That's right.
And he's already suffered a mini stroke, like a warning stroke, tied into it. So I totally sympathize with him. With the health deal. I know how that goes.
Yeah, I can't imagine just the rigors of being on the road and trying to keep that in check. And he's he's no spring chicken anymore. And it's really too bad. Yeah, it's really too bad because from what I hear, they were really kicking ass on the tour.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're back. He's back up yet or not. I haven't heard anything, quite honestly, and I've been keeping an eye out for it. I really haven't seen.
You know
much,
what?
So.
Take however much time he needs off, and I'm sure the fans understand. And
oh yeah, absolutely, and yeah, getting old. Another on a sad note here, Aerosmith drummer Joey Kramer, his wife passed. She was only 55 years old.
Oh wow.
Very sad, and it must have been extremely sudden because the day before she wished him a happy birthday to the love of my life. So, geez, who knows? When we get to be that age, you never know what's going to be going on. So that's sort of a sad thing.
Shows you how fragile life really is,
You betcha, man. Yeah. Here's sort of a funny story that just came up. Let me just read this one here. Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine. Let me see if I can get him up here. Oh, there he is. There's Dave. And the funny thing is, every picture I see him in, it looks like he's got to take a crap.
Yeah.
Look at him. He's like, oh God, I can't wait.
Yeah, like smelling a fart. Yeah.
He's just never happy. He's always depressed, like he's really got to go to town. Megadeth frontman Dave Mustaine reportedly became irritated when Judas Priest's road crew began sound checking while his band was performing at the Barcelona Rock Fest last Saturday.
Situation, sure.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, that the festival revolves around two identical stages, one right next to each other, so that when one band's playing, the other stage can be setting up, so that there's basically no lag time between bands. They can just go.
Right. Yeah, I've been to festivals like that.
Yeah. But they're not supposed to sound check. They're in they're. That's the wrong time to be doing a sound check, and Dave didn't like it. He let him know.
Sure, yeah.
Well, let's see it. Let's see if we can ring it up here. I'm not sure if it'll show up. Let's see.
I'll wait till he's done checking his guitar over there.
Sound checking his guitar. You can hear that. You can hear it good too. And they're just getting into doing something, a Wall of Destruction, whatever their big hit was, one of their big hits. Yeah, they're just getting ready to go into that. So geez, it gave them another reason to look sour and dour, if I may. Good grief. And of course
I just see him up there pouting, fucking Judas Priest. Fucking sound checking.
Let me see. We were talking a bit ago about how bad Bon Jovi's singing these days.
Yeah.
So
he's not the only one, but he's really bad.
Well, let's see. I may be able to have it. I may be able to get an example here. Here we go. Let's see if this comes through.
There you go.
Okay, that's enough. John Bon Jovi is putting his audience through hell. With that kind of performance, that's really, he's really, really lost it. And,
but too, though, when you're there and you're caught up in the moment and just all that, I mean, that sounds so bad, But as we're having him isolated and focusing on his voice, he sounds terrible.
Yeah. What a shame. What a shame. But yeah. So way to go, John Bond. But yeah, it's all there to see. And speaking of see, we were fortunate enough to see a concert. What was it? Sunday night?
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Saturday night.
I don't even remember anymore. Saturday night, we saw a concert. We saw Earth, Wind, and Fire opening up for Santana. And boy, mixed reviews on this concert. I gotta say.
I was really looking forward to seeing Santana. I mean, he's living legend. He's I don't know. I guess arguably the greatest living classic rock guitarist. He and Clapton, I guess, would be in the argument. But not much of a show, to be honest with you. I mean, played fine, all that. The singers he had just kind of barely adequate. Maybe I'd about to say. I mean, just there was not much charisma or no charisma. Just kind of lackluster. Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure he's done this his whole life, where he turns his back to the audience.
Yeah.
He does that about half the time, and it is what it is. If you're a Santana, a real hardcore Santana fan, of course you're going to be happy as can be. But there wasn't much else going.
Wasn't much too. I mean, he was doing the hits and played them fine, but not much of a show at all. A little disappointing.
Yeah. Well, the problem is though, was the opening act.
Yeah,
was the problem.
They actually had to follow.
They had to follow the mighty Earth, Wind, and Fire. Holy cow!
Yeah, it was a party. That was a party.
It was
sure.
It was amazing. Well, just when we first drove, this is our fourth concert of the year, and when we're driving in, we can see the lawn from a certain point, and driving in, we got there a little extra early this time, and the lawn was already half full.
Yeah.
And so we knew right then and there, wow, this is serious stuff. So sure enough, we got in there, and the lawn filled up. The place was packed all the way back to the back fence.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest crowd I've ever seen there.
Yeah.
And they were just smoking. They let me see, they came out with one of their biggie hits. Well, they had plenty of hits to play, but the Shining Star. They started that was near the beginning of the show.
Yeah, they grab you right for the jugular right off the bat with that.
I believe that was on Goldmember, Austin Powers movie. Yeah. I believe that was key to that movie. So and it got things rolling really well, and the crowd was just great. Just everybody, the whole conglomerate of the area, everybody was there, and boy, were they there to party. And geez Louise. And I gotta say, Philip Bailey, guy's unbelievable. What do you think about that, Boo?
Just one of the three remaining original members, and I would like to know if they could do a scientific study on comparing voice from then to now. And I would bet he would be the most consistent. It is unbelievable. Yeah. 50 years of doing it and sounded just the same as he did back then.
Let's talk about their vocals, because I'm a big vocal. I'm nuts when it comes to harmonies and whatnot. And we will not hear better vocals for the rest of the summer. That's a guarantee. Their harmonies were so perfect and so high. The high registers were just screaming out, and they were just perfect. It was perfection. It was vocal perfection.
Yeah, they're a well-oiled machine at this point.
Yeah, the choreography, the stage choreography. I mean, they were grooving all night long from one end of the stage to the other. Sometimes 5 of them you know, in choreography, doing nothing. It was just a
Right.
fabulous show. And then near the end of the, you know, end of their gig, you know, they started slipping into hits, and people started getting a little bit more excited. You know, it just this was the start of their basically their big finale.
Yeah,
Which
kind
was
of building
very
things
cool.
up.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, so you had that one. That got things boogieing pretty good out there. By then it's a full house. By now it's a full house, you know, and people are ready to get going. And then they just keep building and building. And the next song up is everybody knows these songs too, which is really very, very cool. So yeah, everybody knows that one. You know, so things are getting groovier yet. You know, people are starting to get up and dance. You can see, you know, here and there, people are starting to dance. And then they fired up their big hit, and the whole place was up for grabs. It was just unbelievable.
Yep.
They played that, and the place was up for grabs. The whole place was dancing. When you see a crowd
absolutely.
that big moving like that, it's just
it's
wow.
a party, man. It was a party for sure. Absolutely.
Oh, it was just amazing. So wow. Yeah, I can't recommend it highly enough. I hope they're coming back next year, because boy, I'm gonna be there without a doubt.
You know what? That's exactly what I thought leaving there. I was like, you know what? I would definitely go see Earth, Wind, and Fire again. Santana, check them off my list, and
yeah.
you know,
yeah, I'm neutral. You know, I can't recommend Santa, but Santana, I can't not recommend him. I just if you're a purist, you'll probably dig it. But if you're just a casual listener, who's not totally into the whole thing, then you might not dig it as much. I just gotta say it. You know, like us with Steely Dan. You know, it was good, but it's just there's just nothing there to. Whereas, a total show with Earth, Wind, and Fire. Total,
they have the three original members. Philip Bailey, we talked about, who's just just the most ageless voice ever. And then Verdine White, whose brother Maurice White was the main guy who's passed.
Right.
Verdine on bass, just a hell of a bass player, hell of a showman. And then they have the third member, Ralph Johnson, he was a percussionist originally back in the day, but they've brought him out. He helps with those high harmonies, and they've brought him out front now. So the three of them, they just hit the
harmonies, unbelievable. I cried. Well, I didn't cry, but I wanted to cry, Doc. I did. Being a guy who loves great harmony, it was just so perfect. It was just beautiful. So we have a can't recommend and a highly recommend on that one. Our next one's coming up in a couple of weeks, 10 days or something like that. We'll be seeing a Cheap Trick opening for Rod Stewart. So we'll see how that goes. See how Rod's doing. You know, I don't want to feel bad if his voice is all shot to hell. That's gonna suck. I hope not.
I'm kind of curious to see what his set list will be. I mean, he's obviously got a wide catalog to choose from, and a lot of different stuff. And we'll see what he's got. You know,
sure. There you go, man. So what's going on, Doc?
You know, Rod Stewart. Once upon a time sang in a band and decided to go solo, and it worked out pretty well for him. But that's not always the case. Solo artists don't always make. And sometimes it's some of the biggest frontmen in rock and roll. Try to go solo and it's not there. It just goes to show, it takes a whole band. Case in point, we'll start with Mick Jagger.
Okay.
Mick Jagger,
I didn't even know he had a solo album.
He's got 4 or 5 solo albums. Put out a couple in the 80s, one in the 90s, and one in the double aughts. But does anybody know it? Does anybody know any of the songs? No, absolutely not. It's just
no.
Keith Richards put out some solo work. I actually have one of his Main Offender, and it's got that slinky sound. Still it's Keith Richards all over it. But
sure.
When you listen to Mick stuff, it's kind of that's what you're listening for. Is kind of where's the Keith stuff at, and it's not there. So, it didn't work. Freddie Mercury, another one. Perhaps the greatest front man, ever. I guess between those two, probably. But the other one put out a couple of solo albums, never did. Well, although one was a operatic one, but he tried another one, and that didn't work. Roger Daltrey, another guy, But on the flip side of that, Pete Townsend's put out several solo albums.
I've got one of his.
Yeah, it's a great success. Yeah, I have a few of his. And we put out what we got the Empty Glass that he put out. That was kind of he had a first solo one was back like 73 called Who Came First.
That's the one I got.
Yeah, I don't have that one. But then later, and this was like 81, I want to say, and this came out with Let My Love Open the Door and hits like that. A couple years later, he followed that up with All the Best Cowboys Have Chinese Eyes. This is a great album. I just listened to this recently, and it's, sometimes it's good to go back and revisit some of this old stuff that, maybe as your taste has changed, And then he had another one in the late 80s called White City. So, Pete was the driving force of that band, obviously. Roger put out several solo albums, and nobody knows about him,
Yep. Absolutely. So who else are we looking at here? How about go ahead, man.
No, I was just say even David Lee Roth, another one he considers the greatest frontman ever, I guess. Had some success, but not lasting success by any means. And a lot of that I would put on the band that he put together, quite honestly.
Boy, did he have a badass band. Yeah. Billy Sheehan on bass, one of the slickest bass players. He can almost play he can shred on the bass, let's just put it that way. And then of course Steve Vai on guitars, my gosh.
Yep. Greg Bessonette on drums, the all-star band, and
I've got that. What's the name of that album? I've got it.
Got a couple. He came out with the EP. It's got California Girls and Just Gigolo and that stuff on it.
No, I don't have that.
Crazy
one.
From the Heat. And then he came out with Eat 'Em and Smile.
That's probably the one I have.
And that's the one that's got like Yankee Rose.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Stuff like that on it. So it's a back.
Damn good times and all that. Yeah. That's the one I got. Cool.
So he had some success, but like I said, not lasting success. Even another one comes to my mind. I find curious is with Debbie Harry of Blondie. Mm-hmm. A lot of people kind of thought she was Blondie. She was the artist Blondie, but there was a band. There was a band Blondie, and she was the front woman, and her name was Debbie Harry, and she wasn't Blondie. And when she went solo, you could see the difference. And she put out several solo albums that never really went anywhere. So.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Blondie, and same sort of deal with Alice Cooper. It was a band actually, but no. The lead singer is Alice Cooper, and then he changed his name at some point. And his solo stuff actually did fairly well, from what I can remember. Some of his stuff, Constrictor and others like that. I've got one of them, but they were good rocking stuff. And,
and then he popped up a little bit in the '80s. Hair band stuff was kind of popular. And
he's one of them. But, he's a constantly working. He's one of those musicians who's he's got a industry depending on him. Roadies, everything surrounding a tour, and so he just constantly working. So good for him.
Not just touring, but he's got the radio show. He does a nightly radio show.
A busy man.
Very busy man. Does a lot of stuff.
So you mentioned Dee Dee Ramone, didn't you?
Yeah, I was kind of thinking it's not always the lead singers that try to go solo.
What the hell is that?
Dee Dee Ramone got very much into hip hop in the 80s, and wanted to thought he had enough of the Ramones and wanted to try hip hop, and took on the moniker D.D. King. He's no longer Ramone, now he's D.D. King.
Oh, jeez.
And it's probably the worst album ever made. I haven't listened to the whole thing.
I gotta listen to that.
Yeah, I've just listened to excerpts of it, but it's from what I heard and some of the lyrics, as bad as you think it could be, it's even worse. It's pretty bad.
Oh, geez, that's too bad. Considering the pedigree of the band he was in, it's a shame to hear that.
Well, it kind of worked out for the Ramones maybe a little bit. They got CJ, they picked up CJ Ramone and kind of gave him a little, injection of youth a little bit. They were kind of, starting to get a little stale, and kind of pumped them up a little bit. And Dee got to go try his little hip hop thing. And, you know,
Dee.
I can't imagine what those shows would have been like, but
oh jeez.
No power to him.
And then the next one you brought up to me.
Well, the one I guess thinking of the bad solo ideas kind of go back to let me dig these out of the old collection here.
Do it to it, man.
Goes back to the
I'm feeling good.
Many of you could remember this when all the members of Kiss
I considered that a train wreck when they all put out their own albums.
They all put out their own solo albums.
Wow, you got them all. That's incredible.
At the time, I think Ace was probably charted the biggest, I think.
Really?
I listened to all of these, I don't know, a year or so ago, and Gene's probably holds up the best, I would say.
No kidding.
But the member that kind of instigated to do this project was Peter Criss. And so obviously he was the first member to leave. I think he was just kind of had an itch. And so he wanted to do a solo album, and they're okay, Pete, we'll all do one. Let's all do one, and we'll put it out like this. And evidently that didn't suffice for Pete, so he left the band. A lot of people don't know he put out a couple solo albums other than this, as Peter Criss. Yeah, not good. There's one particular I want to. Oh God, I can't think of the name of it. But
would that be this one here?
There we go. There you are, my man. Let me rock you. Yes, you can just.
Looks like he's
just fresh out of the shower, ready.
Say, let me bathe you. How's that? You
ready for a romantic evening with his lady? He's gonna swoon her.
I'm worth $5 million. What do you think?
Yeah. I was a drummer for Kiss. Hey.
Yeah, Dickweed. What's his name's only worth $1 million. So there. Yeah.
Peter Criss seems like to me one of those guys, and rock and roll history is filled with them. That just, you know what, you're probably lucky that you were at the right place at the right time.
Yeah,
and and just held on for the ride. You probably should have held on for a little longer, quite honestly. But guys get a big head. I'm not saying that Peter. I don't know. Who knows? We're never
not a real
involved in those,
and not a real extraordinary drummer either in terms of talent.
That's what I mean.
He kept a good beat, but and
he was adequate. And
I think he did a solo on their first live album that was like, what's up with that? So he was okay, and he should have stuck with it, because when you don't mess with a good thing, man. You should have ridden it out like the rest.
Even at the time when he left, Kiss was kind of having their peaks and valleys at the time, and
holy cow,
their whole image was in question, I suppose.
The way I see it, any rock band that would cave to the disco trend, which they did, and did the Stones. The Stones did what was that song?
Miss You off Some Girls album. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like, what the hell? Where's your integrity? The Kiss had no integrity. They market hell. They had coffins for sale. They had Kiss coffins.
Yeah, there was no limit to what they put their name on.
Good grief! They made a ton of money, but geez, almighty, Kiss coffin. Yeah, that's just what I need. But there's, I was not part of that legendary Kiss army back in the day. I was already over that with, still listening to Zeppelin and The Who. And
you're a few years older than me, but I was right at that age, and I was part of it. And
I know some army members. Yeah. I've tried and true army members. I didn't quite get it, but they stuck it out, and like I say, I predict that they're just gonna find total, new members. And Gene and Paul are just going to retire and collect a certain amount of royalties. They'll continue. They can't go without making money, so they're gonna get some royalties out of this deal.
They'll just go on in perpetuity and just keep having those 4 images up there.
Gosh,
I would not doubt it. But obviously a lot of artists have gone solo and have done quite well, and probably even better than. There's another guy. Yeah, he went solo. Can't remember. He had the what was it? The Young Guns. Blaze of Glory song. Yeah, remember he had that. So yeah, he tried the solo thing for a while. And,
yeah, it just doesn't, it doesn't work for the most part.
Yeah, just and like I said, even bands where you think this he's the main guy, it certainly would work. Doesn't always work.
Like Halford, didn't Halford put out? He had a solo project.
Yeah,
but it didn't do anything.
Bruce Dickinson, Bruce Dickinson. You think with that voice and that stage presence and all that he brings to the game, but to do
fascinating guy.
Yeah, he really is.
Fascinating guy.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah, we should
how
do a show
cool
on
for
him
that.
sometime.
What a band too. They've got their own jet. That's how they make it work. That's how they make these tours work. Because when you can, when you're jet, you can have your own jet, not have to worry about all the bullshit that goes around it. And and plus he's the pilot, although he's going to be retiring because I guess pilots have to retire at 55 or something like that.
Oh, really?
So he's going to be forced to retire. But how cool was that though? Band hop and roadies, everybody, equipment, everybody hopping on the jet, and there's a lead singer. Take us away there, pal.
Yeah, right.
And he was just he was just in Chicago doing a spoken word tour. A guy that can do that. I mean, you got a fascinating guy there.
Yeah, he's a pilot. He's fences.
Does he really?
Not like selling stolen goods, but like fences. Like the sword.
I saw them on tour. I saw them on one of the Ozfest tours. You remember those tours?
Oh yeah,
Ozfest. Yeah, I took my son, young son, to a couple of them, and they backed up Black Sabbath. This was before Sharon pulled the cord, pulled the electricity, pulled the power. Yeah, this was before that. But they were just fab. What a great band. I think Motorhead was on that same tour, and it was crazy. We saw Slayer, and the whole set of Slayer set we had a face toward. We were in the pavilion. We had a face towards the lawn, because everybody in the lawn was loading up their drink glasses with dirt and there you go, turf, and throwing it up at us. So my son was sort of annoyed, but then after a while he got used to it. It's like, this is rock and roll, man. This might happen. And yeah, they were heaving shit at us through the whole Slayer set, and then they stopped. After that, it was fine. But yeah, you never know what's going on. But I'll tell you, that was a Saturday night was just an amazing good time. And wow, I hope we're entertained that well on upcoming shows, because boy, oh boy, oh boy, woo, doggy, man, Earth, Wind, and Fire, baby. I'm hoping Chicago will be good. They got a lot of hits, and they're gonna have Brian Wilson and whatnot, Al Jardine, and we'll see what happens, man. I'm not gonna say anything until it happens, but
yeah.
Earth, Wind, and Fire, highly recommended. Santana, yeah, I'm neutral on that. I can't complain. He's a legend, but they didn't put too much thought into the show itself and into the production on stage. Yeah.
I would dare say that's the first time I've ever seen them. I would dare say that's probably the same stage show type that they've always had. If you saw them in the 80s, you probably saw the same show.
And it was good. It started out with Soul Sacrifice, which is the legendary performance they did at Woodstock.
Yeah, they had the whole build up, the kind of the video with showing Woodstock highlights and whatnot.
Yeah.
The whole build up. So that was kind of cool. Yeah,
it was cool, but at the same time, Michael Shreve on drums at Woodstock was, you're not gonna get too close to him. He was an amazing drummer, and it is what it is. But yeah, definitely see Earth, Wind, and Fire. Whew, baby. All right. Well, that's about it, Doc. That's about it, man.
Yeah, just kind of checking in for the week. And
yeah. The fireworks will be firing up pretty soon. It's still light out, so another hour or two, I'll be firing up a nice margarita and checking out the fireworks. So to everybody, we hope you had a great holiday weekend. We hope you have a happy 4th of July, what's left of it. And thank you very much. We hope you'll subscribe. And what do you got to say, Doc?
Yeah, absolutely. Please subscribe, comments. Sure you have a solo artist that you're thinking about. Mention those below. Share the video, man. Spread it around. You know, let people know about it. We're gonna be around for a while, trying to gain some footing here. So
yeah,
the more the merrier.
There's always music to talk about. So absolutely. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Have a great rock and roll filled week, everybody.